Hello, my name is Amara Whitaker. Today I will be teaching the engage and explore portions of my inquiry-based science lesson. It was designed for a second grade classroom. This lesson aligns with Washington State Science Standard 2-PS1-2, which asks students to analyze data obtained from testing different materials to determine which materials have the properties that are best suited for an intended purpose. This standard is part of the NGSS, which encourages students to learn science by asking questions, investigating, connecting evidence, and explaining their thinking, which I really tried to focus on and kind of incorporate and weave that into my whole lesson plan. And hopefully you can see pieces of that throughout the chunk that I record. In today's lesson, students are going to investigate different materials. So I have a bunch of different materials here, and they're going to figure out and determine which one is best suited for cleaning up a water spill. Throughout the lesson, students are going to be making predictions. They are going to be collecting data, analyzing their observations, and then they are going to use evidence to support a conclusion. So I will try and get to it for the sake of time. There will be spots that I speed through relatively quickly where I would in the classroom take quite a bit more time on, especially like towards the end. I'm going to do some formative assessments where I would be looking at their notebooks and kind of seeing what they're writing for observations and things like that. And I would be asking them probing questions to see if they need extension or to see if maybe they need me to back up a little bit. But what you'll see probably is just the questions, just for the sake of time. All right, well, here we go. All right, my friends, welcome back from recess. I hope you all got your wiggles out. We have got such a fun lesson plan today. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So are we ready to go? Fantastic. All right, so I'm so excited to show you guys my lesson. Oh, no. Oh gosh, Mrs. Whitaker's, I just spilt my water everywhere. My water just spilled everywhere. Oh, Mr. Sean is not gonna like this. I've got to get this cleaned up because I can't have, we don't want anybody to slip on that. Gosh, what am I gonna do? I've got some materials here that I could use to clean it up. I've got a sponge and I've got a paper towel. I've got this cotton ball. I've got a plastic bag. What about this aluminum foil? Well, I do have a lot of materials, but I'm only going to be able to use one to clean this spill up. I really need to know which one's the best one to clean up my spill. Maybe you guys can help me figure out which one's the best one to clean up my spill. What do we think? Oh, hold on. You guys all have a lot of ideas on which one's the best one, but I think we are really going to need to investigate this to make sure we choose the absolute best one to clean up the spill. What do we think? Yeah? All right. Here's what we're going to do. Let's start thinking about this. I want you guys to think about a time you guys have spilled a drink like Mrs. Whitaker just spilled a drink. Raise your hand if you've ever done that. Everybody. Yeah, we've all spilled drinks. Who hasn't spilled a drink, right? What did you do and what did you use to clean it up? What did you use to clean it up, Jace? Paper towels. Okay, very nice. Why did you use paper towels? Because they helped you dry it up. Okay. And it was all dry afterwards? Yeah. Well, didn't you have to go get the paper towels, though? Couldn't you have used something that you had on you right then and there, and then you wouldn't have to get the paper towels? Why didn't you use, like, your shoe to clean up your spill? Why, Gracie, what do you think? Why couldn't he use his shoe to clean up his spill? It won't dry it up? What would it do? Spread it. It would just spread it. It wouldn't dry it up. You're probably onto something. You guys have some good ideas. I really like hearing your ideas. Sounds like a lot of you guys have already noticed that some materials work better for different jobs, right? Like a shoe might work good for certain jobs, like protecting our feet, but it doesn't necessarily soak up spills very well, right? It's not the material for that job. Well, today we are going to be scientists and engineers, okay? Now, scientists, they get to investigate. Engineers, they get to solve problems. And today we are going to be and get to do both. We are going to investigate all of the different materials we have here so that we can solve the problem of figuring out what's the best material to clean up a classroom spill. So then we can figure out what material we should keep on hand, and we'll make a spill kit for our classroom. So then when we have spills, we can just go to our spill kit and get that material out, and we know without a doubt it's the best material to clean up classroom spills. What do we think? Does that sound good? Okay, well, we've talked about our experiences. We're starting to think like scientists. What's going to help us sound like scientists is some vocabulary, right? So just like we learn new math vocabulary words and reading vocabulary words when we're starting new books, let's go learn some new science vocabulary words. What do we think? So we can really think and sound like scientists. Okay, let's go to our vocabulary spot. So you'll notice back here on our vocabulary picture poster board, I have changed it out and it's all new. So new pictures and new vocabulary words to go with our science, okay? So the first word we're going to go over is absorb, okay? So this word, absorb, it means to soak up or take in, okay? So soak up or take in. And you notice there's a picture of a spill and a paper towel is cleaning it up. It's absorbing the spill. The next word I want to go over is actually down here, but this word is observe. So observe means to carefully watch, listen to, or pay close attention to something using all your senses. So to observe something, you could listen to how it sounds, right? You could look at it to just observe with your eyes and what you notice with your eyes. You could smell, right? You can definitely smell different things, and that can help you with your observing. You could touch it and see what it feels like, right? Or you could taste it. That's our other sense, and you can see what it tastes like. Just a blanket statement for this lesson, this investigation we're doing, my scientists. We are not going to use our mouth to test anything, okay? So we're not going to observe using our senses of taste, okay? So nothing's going in the mouth for this lesson. If we do a lesson on cookies someday, we could use our taste senses, but not for this one, okay? So that's what observe means, to carefully watch, listen to, or pay close attention to something using all your senses. Okay, the next word here is material. What an object is made from. So notice the picture, the materials look different. This one's kind of spotty, this one's not. So we have different materials up here, right? We have our sponge, our foil, our cotton ball, paper towel, our bag, different materials. What do you observe when you look at these two different materials? Are they made from different things? How can you tell by observing and looking at them? Yeah, this one's shiny, this one's not. Close your eyes. I want you to listen. Close your eyes. We're going to use our hearing for this one. Okay, I'm moving one of them. Okay, now I'm moving the second one. What do you observe about the materials using your hearing? Yeah, one's, you can't hear the one. And the other one sounds what? What way does it sound, Kason? It sounds crinkly. That's right. So we observe that these materials are definitely different with our eyes, and we even observed they were different with our hearing too, right? Very cool. Okay, our next one is evidence. So evidence is a clue or proof that shows something is true. So just like any investigator, you can't just say something is a certain way because you say so. You have to have evidence. You have to be able to back it up with proof, right? And so that's what we're going to need. We are going to need evidence to back up our investigation. So now that we've talked about our experiences and we've learned some important vocabulary words to help us really sound and think like scientists, we need to get ready to do our investigation. So how do we think even more like a scientist? Let's see here. Remember, scientists, they don't just guess, right? So no guessing. We're scientists. We don't just guess. They do ask questions. So all the questions you have, there's no silly questions. Ask them. That's how we learn, especially in science. They also make predictions. So where else do you feel like you are good at making predictions? Where do you have experience making predictions in school? Go ahead, Owen. When you read? Yeah. When you read books, you make predictions, right? So you guys are already really good at making predictions. You guys have been making predictions reading for a really long time. So you're going to take that skill of making predictions and we're going to use it in our science investigation, right? To make predictions about the materials and what we think is going to happen. They investigate, which is what we're going to do, right? And then they use evidence to answer questions, right? So they use evidence to answer questions. And our investigation question that we're going to answer today is, which material absorbs water better? So which material, out of all these materials we have, which one is going to absorb water better? That's the question we're going to ask today. So what I want you to do real quick is you're going to turn and you're going to talk to your neighbor. You've seen the materials we have. I want you and your neighbor to turn and talk to each other. I want you to make a prediction each on what one of these materials you think will absorb the water best and why. Okay, once you're done talking to your neighbor, you're going to turn and we are going to write down our prediction. Where's a safe place, smart place we could put our prediction? Go ahead, Mila. Our science journals, that's right. So we're going to write our prediction down in our science journals. You can, if you need, up here, we've got the sentence starter, I predict. So you can say, I predict, and then there's our starter for you. All right. Go ahead and looks like everybody finished turning and talking to their neighbor about it. So everybody should be writing down in their journals. I'm going to write, I have my journal right here and you guys should all be able to see it with the camera above. It should be up on the screen for you. So I'm going to write right here, I predict that the plastic. Yeah, I'm going to say I think the plastic bag, this is my prediction, this is Whitaker's prediction, will absorb water best. Do you think that's enough for my prediction or should I add more? I should back my thinking up, right? So what word do I need? Because it is the biggest. Okay, so I predict the plastic bag will absorb water the best because it is the biggest. Okay, so right now we are a classroom full of some really awesome predictions, right? I want to hear some of our predictions. What do you think? Jace, you think that the paper towel will absorb it the best because it's the biggest? Yeah, it's about the same size as, oh, it's almost the biggest, about the same size as the bag. Okay. What do you think? Okay, you think, okay, Zahidullah thinks the sponge is going to absorb the most because why, Zahidullah? It's the thickest. Interesting. Okay, I like we've got a lot of different options here. Some of us are thinking, who's all thinking sponge? Okay, who's thinking paper towel? Anybody else thinking bag? Interesting. Okay, so a lot of us are we're kind of all over the place on what we're thinking. A lot of us are thinking sponge. Some of us are thinking paper towel, and then some of us are thinking other things. Yes. Okay, so right now we're a classroom full of scientists with predictions, but scientists don't stop at predictions, right? They collect evidence before they make a conclusion. So now we need to conduct our scientific investigation, right? So we can answer our question, which material absorbs water better, with evidence, right? That's how we have to answer our question, with evidence. We're not guessing. We have to answer it with evidence. So we are going to start our investigation. Now, before we start the investigation, I'm going to model it for you on one of the materials, okay? And then after that, you and your partner will get to work together and you will get to go through all of your materials and conduct the investigation on all of your materials together, right? While you're doing this, I want you guys talking to each other about what you're observing, right? How is each material absorbing the water? While you talk, use your new vocabulary words. We're scientists. These are the words we should be using, right? So use your vocabulary words. And then where should we put the evidence that we have collected? Just store it in our brain? No, where should we put it, Mila? In our journals, that's right. So I observed, and again, we've got right up here, I observed, and if you need to, Mrs. Whitaker's I'm gonna show you an example right here too, okay? So, I've got my water dropper. Now, it's very important every time we go to collect water that we only go to the second line. If I went to the second line on the first one, on my sponge, and then the next one's my paper towel, and I went to, maybe I decided to do more, I went to the fifth line. Is that going to give me very good evidence? What do we think? Jace, it won't be fair. Well, why not? Oh, because you can't compare them because the amounts aren't the same. Jace is right. So it's very important when we are doing scientific investigations that we follow, we are organized and we follow the same steps for every piece that we do, right? So every material we test, we're going to test it in the exact same way so that it's fair and we get true, good evidence, okay? So here we go. I'm going to go up to the second line. There you go, very carefully. I've gone to the second line, and then I'm going to put it on. I'm going to get really close so that I can really observe how my material reacts to the water. All right, there we go. Interesting. Okay. So what I'm observing about this sponge is that the sponge absorbed the water right up. In fact, I noticed the sponge, it soaked the water right up. So that tells me that this material that the sponge is made of, it must absorb water. So I need to write this down, right? This needs to go in my writing or my science journal. So I observed the sponge absorbed. Remember, absorbed means to soak in. All, not just a little bit. Look at this is dry. It absorbed all the water. So I'm going to put all the water because that's important, right? It wasn't just a little bit. It was all of it. What does this tell me? This tells me the material must absorb water. Okay. So now I've shown you in my writing journal. You do have sentence stems up there if you need to use them. Before you and your partner start, real quick, turn and talk to your partner and tell your partner one thing that a good scientist must do when they are conducting their investigation. Jace. That's right. Scientists don't put things in their mouth. This is true. What else, Mila? They are fair. Yes, so the water has to stay the same. That's right. Scientists make sure that their investigations are fair. So we're using the same amount of water on all of our materials. All right, so I want you guys to go ahead and start. I'm going to kind of walk around and I will peek in and just check on how you guys are doing. If you're having trouble in your journal writing down your observations, you can draw what you're noticing. I am okay with that. So if even the sentence stems that we have up there above our vocabulary visual poster board there, if the sentence stems are not helping, you can draw down what you're noticing and then just add labels, okay? All right, why don't you guys go ahead and start? Okay. So tell me what you're noticing. Oh, okay. And what evidence supports your thinking? Okay. Well, now, how does this material here, how does this one compare to your sponge? So it did soak up water, but it didn't soak up as much water. Okay. And what are you noticing here about your plastic bag? You don't think it absorbs water? Well, what evidence do you have to support that it doesn't absorb water? Oh, because it just spilled right off of it and it's all on your desk. Okay. Very interesting. Hey, did anything surprise you about what we've done? Why did the cotton ball surprise you? Interesting. The cotton ball surprised you because it's so tiny, but it soaked up so much water. It is. Our biggest items didn't soak up any water, did they? But that cotton ball is our smallest one. So what does that tell you? Yes, you're absolutely right. Size didn't have anything to do with how well our material soaked up the water. You are absolutely right. Okay. Has your changing or your thinking changed at all since you made your prediction? Okay. I like it. Very nice. Okay, my friends. If you're done, I know some of us are still working. If you are done and you need an extra challenge, I want you to think about whether the material that you decided absorbed the water the best would be the best material for every job, every spill, right? I want you to think about that. And then I want you to be ready to explain your thinking, okay? All right. Okay, my friends, come back to me now. So you guys have done a great job making predictions, conducting your investigation. You were very careful and very fair about how you did it. You collected your evidence, you wrote it down. Next, we're going to bring all of the data together and we're going to compare all of our observations and we're going to use the evidence we gathered and put in our science journals to explain which material is best suited for cleaning up our classroom spills. And then we're going to go out and we're going to get some of that material to add to our classroom spill kit. Okay? All right, my friends. And that is that portion of the lesson. All right, thank you.